Well met, lords and ladies, Jacob Butter speaking, and a warm welcome to this week's Walking Wednesday. And I made a poor decision here trying to go down this path. I thought, hey, I'll stay here in this forest area outside of the, not right next to the main road. Then I realized that it's been raining today. This area is still a little bit wet. I'm able to avoid most of it, but yeah. Then again, if you saw some of the people that I've had to come across when doing driving lessons recently, I'm far from the person making the worst decisions today. So yeah, that's still been going on. And yeah, it's kind of interesting. At this point, it's both easier and harder to see the progress I'm making in terms of driving. Mostly because, I say harder because the learning curve from going from, basically nothing to something of actual substance is very obvious. Whereas, with the rest of it, it's less so. But it's also easier because, confidence and actual control and, all that fun and jazz. And it's good that, the instructor that I'm supposed to have has shown signs of life as well. So getting two somewhat distinct but similar enough points of view to go from, and they haven't, to my knowledge, contradicted each other yet, except for in one instance, but that might be my misinterpretation. Anywho, that's that. Yeah, considering the maelstrom of the past few weeks, yeah, this one doesn't have as much to report on. I've been kind of thinking to myself, what thing to focus on next after the Mutant Girl, because obviously having so many things backed up, I still haven't got my Toriyama tribute out, which I promised weeks ago. So, and then also with the looming prospect of Pixel Month, that's another thing. Yeah, there's also some stuff that happened within the family, but I'm not sure. It's not bad things, but I'm not sure the person who is most involved would like to have that divulged. I guess I can just say, we had a guest over for a couple of days. I think you lot might have noticed that because that meant that I was up in my room again doing streams rather than the downstairs area. Which, yeah, considering that doing those back to back, I'm seeing a huge difference in terms of the connectivity, because I'm pretty sure that I lost connection far fewer times if not at all in those 2 days. Mostly because the router that we have is upstairs. So when I'm trying to do something from downstairs, I might need to ask to bring out one of the Wi-Fi boosters that I know that we have somewhere. So they're in storage. Just need to remember to do that, because also there was another video series that we tried again with Pixel Month. The reason I was with Shiny and Maya yesterday is because we're trying to start up that series again and have a bit more time to edit things through. And yeah, the server has definitely changed drastically, and I am no longer using OBS because it's a terrible invention and it's there's always something that goes wrong with it. And yeah, that was a whole day of failure, and then also early night of failure as well. Although speaking of nights, happy birthday Emily Nightwolf. So yeah, something of that is gonna come today. Seems like it's a Nightwolf life has been ruled out. But yeah, I hope you're enjoying yourself. You're probably at school at this point, but whenever you see this, assuming you actually want to sit through one of these again, you never know. Figure out, yeah. It's only now that I appreciate the narrowness of these roads, especially on learner drivers. So yeah, letting the cars go past, that was a different learner. It's interesting because like outside of like after COVID, since there were so many people backed up who couldn't get tests around that time, yeah, that's still a struggle to even get the lessons in order to even be prepared for that. So that's one thing that we've dealt with. I'm not sure if it's the same everywhere. Dare I say, in places with more population, it's either going to be better or worse. I can't figure out if it's going to be better because there'll be more instructors, or worse because there's just more people. Haven't got a clue. But oh my. Yeah, I don't know. There's I'm trying to think of what other stuff has happened this week that is worth reporting on. I'm sure that I'm going to forget something. That's what usually happens. I get like in the middle of sometime around this time, the 6-minute mark, and I realize, oh, I should have mentioned this that happened, or I should have mentioned that happened. But yeah, it's all really kind of plans and stuff that trying to see what's the best foot forward project wise. But yeah, and also I guess the fluctuation of watch hours has been interesting, because obviously last year I was not doing the Butter Bunch reviews on Thursday, but somehow I'm still, even despite the fact that I'm streaming fewer days in March, the watch hours, again, they've gone up and down as far as like the comparison, but they've remained fairly consistent with fewer days, which says to me, the channel has grown since then, but also that the slump from January and February is very much no longer in effect. March seems to have been the time that these things got picked up. And hopefully April stays the same, because, with the double featurettes of Pixel Month, and then May is the month I'm really worried about, because again, that's the month that I grinded for. Really got to see how that process goes. And then June immediately got demonetized. But yeah, okay, so there's one thing I've also got to mention. The Spanish dub. Yeah, I made a terrible mistake when it comes to that. So because of, so I've officially been, named director for the Fallen Angels Spanish dub, which was always like an unofficial thing, because I'm the one compiling the lines, the one that knows if certain lines need retakes and such. And yeah, so that's, but yeah, Aiden and I talked about that. So yeah, officially he's the producer, I'm the director. That's how they do things, which incidentally, I said this before, but it's a very rare thing for the director and the producer on a gacha video to not be the same person. Naturally, it's even rarer in the case of Aiden for the director, the producer, and the main character not to be the same person. But that's in terms of reliability. It's not like a vanity project, like The Room or something. It's just the matter of convenience. And of course, we cast each other as main characters all the time because we know that we're around. But yeah, no, what I mean is like, because usually when someone comes up with the idea for the gacha video, and it's their channel, they know what they want, and they're gonna be in charge of compiling stuff together. By all means, they might have other editors, myself included. But yeah, as far as directors and producers, they seem to be one the same most of the time. Which is fine, it's just something that I've kind of noticed. Honestly, maybe that should be a bigger thing. Because if you think about it, a lot of the people who decide to make a voice acting gacha series, one of the biggest pieces of advice we give to them is, don't be afraid to ask for retakes in the first place. Because some of them, they don't want to inconvenience the voice actors, even though they've already committed to the project, so that's kind of what comes with the territory. They might feel like, people will get annoyed at them, or they're too pushy or anything. Some of them might even think that the voice actors know better than them. I've mentioned this quote in the past before, but somebody for a voice actor series that I think never came to pass, but I was cast in at the time. They never released it. I believe, they asked me why I send in 3 takes for everything, and I explained that's because I don't know the exact delivery that the director wants. The other reason is because sometimes the other voice actor, got to match their energy, and you don't know exactly what's going to happen. But mainly it's the director's vision, so doing 3 takes minimizes the chances of having to be asked to re-record. But yeah, then the director of that and producer, because it's again the same person, asked me, said to me, well, you're the talented voice actor, I trust your judgment. It's like, well, okay, I'm flattered about that, but it is the director's job to, compile it together, because again, as much as I can think of something in one direction, every single other voice actor could do the exact same thing, and then it becomes an utter mess. That's why we have directors, because, they're compiling the vision together into something that is coherent. Occasionally you have co-directors, in which case, they'll, compromise between each other. But most of the time, yeah, that's the main purpose of directing in the first place. So yeah, that's that really. I think that's also why, now I think about it, when it comes to my editing style, most of the time when I'm directing, I tend to have a vision of what's going to happen in the first place. So I then just I'm then able to say, to the actors, okay, this is what's going to happen, or if in the editing process, just trust me, this will come together. So I guess being a director and producer and head editor does have its advantages at times. But yeah, if you're not as confident with directing, I suppose there is always the option of getting someone else to do it. I remember at one point I had to replace, I had to choose some auditions for a particular character, because one of the words in the audition itself had since become a trigger for the director producer. So they were no longer able to even listen to those recordings. They have to change the line eventually. So yeah, then I can't remember if I offered to step in or they asked me to step in. I think we just done a gacha review together. It never got released. So then it could have gone either way, that I offered or they asked, and then I said, okay, well, I'll do it. I'll pick, because it wasn't one of the ones that I went for, so there was no bias there. But yeah, in any case. So where was I going with this? Something to do with retakes. So I, of course, again, as the director of the Fallen Angels dub, I had to ask someone for retakes, because it seemed to me like they had misread at least one word per line almost, except for one of them. And I needed to make sure that, you know, that the lines would actually make sense. That's why I'm the director, because Aiden would not know the difference because it's in Spanish. So, yeah, so then this is the first time I'd ever had to message the voice actor. So I said, yeah, hi, my name's Jacob. I'm the director for the Ángeles Caídos, which is Fallen Angels in Spanish. So, yeah, I need some retakes from you. Just immediately messaging them. Fortunately, I didn't have to send a friend request. They didn't have that option on Discord. So there was that. So then I explained, and I sent screenshots and catches, and kind of like outlined what the issue was originally and how to fix it. Then they came back and said to me, "Oh yeah, it's because I'm Colombian, so I knew that there were going to be certain words in my accent that were going to be pronounced differently." If you haven't watched Walking Wednesday before, or haven't heard me talk about this, one of my big policies with gacha voice acting, there's not necessarily advice for everyone else, but it's more advice for me personally, is never to ask someone directly to change their accent. Number of reasons for this. One, because, I mean, as was explained in the La Fortaleza, one of the plays we saw, in Madrid, being asked to do a neutral Castilian accent for everything is kind of the same as being being asked to pronounce everything in a received pronunciation / standard English accent, like what I've got, governor. So yeah, I don't do that for that reason, and also because some people aren't very confident trying to change their accent. So when it turned out that most of the Mutant Girl cast when we first started were Americans, I decided, okay, I'm going to set this in the US instead of the UK, as was my original plan. So that's why that happened. But yeah, beyond that, it's one of the things that makes people uncomfortable and kind of detracts from their performances and their enjoyability of the role. And I understand why people prioritize accents and why they focus on them so much. I get it. If you're going for something, if it's going super authentic, or the setting of the story is integral, then yeah, by all means, go for that, Focus on the accents, make sure that people get that right, train them to do it properly. But in the case of, at least the way that I tend to write stories, most of the time the setting is established, but it doesn't actually matter that much. And it's the same with Fallen Angels, because obviously the original series is set in Canada. Now we're doing a Spanish dub. There's no such thing as a Canadian Spanish accent to my knowledge, so that would never have been applicable. But yeah, the same thing applies, and I just didn't realize that, the words would sound like other actual Spanish words that were different to the one originally, and that'd be something I'd have to account for. So yeah, I kind of buried my head in the sand at that one. But yeah, the VA was super nice about it, and explained that I sort of thought this might actually happen. I said, yeah, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have asked about that. I grew up in Spain, so that's why I'm kind of used to this, that, and the other. And then he said, oh no, it's all right. Then we'll and then actually did send me the retakes afterwards. But yeah, I'm never asking that again. That must have something. And also, all that conversation took place in English, surprisingly. Because yeah, I saw the person in the Gacha Dub Discord server, which you can join if you want to help us with our Spanish dubs, of course. And it seemed like he had an English bio. And then I realized, well, actually, no, I didn't realize. I asked Aiden about that because all the VAs seem to be people with English bios. And that's because Aiden found them under the bilingual tab of Casting Call Club, which I completely forgot existed. Yeah, now come to think of it, my assumption was that he took the script that I wrote for the video announcement and just used that as the bio or description for an audition. But turns out no. Turns out he went bilingual tab, got people who could speak English, so was able to transfer them over. And yeah, I guess in my mind it was never a requirement to, you know, speak English to be in the Spanish dub, because again, if I'm directing, I can just message somebody in Spanish and that would be fine. But yeah, that's turns out that was what happened, which may explain why the pool of VAs is so small, because obviously the VAs that will speak Spanish, most Spanish-speaking countries do teach you English at this nowadays. It used to be French back in the day, but now it's English. So it's not like they wouldn't understand English, most likely. Maybe I should explain that to Aiden, because he might not know that. But yeah, that's but yeah, obviously the ones that would be under the bilingual tab specifically, probably scarcer than the ones who would be elsewhere. There you go, I found a topic. See, I got to about 6 minutes and I decided what I was going to talk about. So yeah, that's what's been happening this week. That's the main project that's focusing on. Might change that in the future, with Pixelmonth especially living around the corner. But please leave a like or dislike if you're already. And on that note, until next time, farewell.